few days ago, March 11, there was a case of a 31-year-old mother who collapsed while waiting in line for the financial assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development in Mandaue City, Cebu. That's from the southern part of the Philippines. The Cebu province is popularly known as the Queen City of the South. This mother of four, while waiting for a roughly $100 cash assistance, suddenly collapsed. Unfortunately, people around did nothing. That is according to the father of the victim. As he said, people did not do anything because they thought she had an episode of epilepsy. However, the father claimed that she does not have an epilepsy and none of their family members has history of epilepsy. During that incident, people only started to panic and started attending the mother who collapsed when she started turning blue. Then emergency responders came. Additionally, the father of the victim alleged that the emergency responders did not give any aid for oxygen. The mother died, leaving behind 4 kids, with the youngest a 6-month-old. This is a very common scenario in the Philippines and in some parts of the Southeast Asian region, that if someone collapsed in an accident or in any emergency cases, it is very rare someone would dare to do first aid. In most cases, as I have experienced personally when I was still a reporter in the Philippines, people would say, "Do not touch. Wait for the ambulance." That is because they are fearing that they might make the situation of the person in an emergency worse. And that is because they do not know. They lack the knowledge, and so they are hesitant to help. They lack the knowledge to give basic first aid or do help for the person who's in an emergency situation. People rather take videos and post any emergency situation in their social media for content making and hope they get a lot of views and eventually earn money from Meta or any social media platform. Yes, that is the norm for these days. Film first before helping. So, going back to what happened to that young mother, if anyone had the skill to at least assess her situation and then do the first aid like CPR. I do not know though what kind of first aid the emergency responders provided when they arrived, but if one or a few of those people in the venue knew life-saving skills, that mother could have still been alive. Imagine how many kids are left behind in that incident. There's 4 of them. There's 4. And now, it will be the grandparents of those kids who will have to raise the children. And in the Philippines, half of the total population is in the poverty line. According to the survey of the social weather stations in 2025, 50% of the Filipinos consider themselves poor. The Philippines has around 116 million total population. This is just an example why it is very important that life-saving skills should be a basic skill that every individual should have. It is even best to start teaching this skill in school, could be in primary or secondary schools. I know this is being done in some countries in Europe. Just this month, I had the chance to teach, not me teaching though, I was just assisting and rating the students' performance. I invited my husband to teach basic CPR to my grade 9 students aged 13 to 15 years old. The kids were very happy to learn CPR. Although it was just an introductory, at least they have the knowledge, they have the basic knowledge, they know the importance, what to do. If any family members will be in an emergency or if they go somewhere and someone's life is in danger. It was just a 2-hour course, but of course, if the kids would like to gain more expertise, they have the option to enroll in first aid courses from private agencies. As their teacher and someone who listens to their feedback, I actually hope that schools will start including first aid as part of the curriculum. You do not know when and where you will encounter someone in a dangerous situation. Plus, in Southeast Asia, we all know how bad the traffic is, and are we just gonna wait for the ambulances going through the heavy traffic while seeing our loved ones' lives sleeping away? I also remember that incident in Cebu. I think it was a marathon, and if I remember it right, it happened in 2019 or late 2018. There was a runner who suddenly collapsed and lost pulse. Rescuers started doing CPR on him, and then my husband came as he was a medic on motorcycle. Actually on big bike with an AAD, they successfully revived the patient. Could you just imagine if that person collapsed in an area where no one knows how to do CPR? He would have been gone. Learning life-saving skills should be considered as basic skills that must be taught in schools. After introducing CPR to my grade 9, now many of my students in all levels of the secondary expressed their desire to also learn the same. We are following a curriculum from the UK, and this is one of the lessons for the social emotional learning, and one of them is saving a life. And that is not a bad thing to learn in that age. Can you imagine in a community where everyone can trust each other in times of emergency? Where people do not only rely on medical responders from hospitals or waiting for an ambulance's crew to save their loved one's life. Perhaps governments, especially in the education department, should think about it.